All right, week 1 recap. Let's go. Hey guys, it's your host as always, Steve Shears, and this is your fantasy football show, Bend, Don't Break. Today, we have our first recap show, so let's get into the first matchup. All right, jumping into our first matchup, we have Jack and Daxter's Eco Legends versus Neocortex. Final score was 156 to 147, giving Jack and Daxter a win of 9. Their top 3 players this week were Julio Jones, who had 9 catches for 141 yards and 2 touchdowns, earning himself 35 fantasy points. Second up was Russell Wilson, who threw for 251 yards, 1 touchdown, but was also picked once, giving him 15 fantasy points. And rocking bronze this week was C.J. Mosley, getting a total of 6 tackles and 2 sacks. Alright, our next matchup, Polygon Man versus the Ghost of Sparta. Final score 135 to 205. Ouch. Giving Ghost of Sparta a 70-point lead over Polygon Man. Alright, so Ghost of Sparta's top 3 players of the week, DeAndre Hopkins, who earned 33 points from 9 receptions, 2 touchdowns, then going for 98 yards. And, Mr. Run, Don't Hide himself, Carlos Hyde, who had 26 touches for 168 yards and 2 touchdowns, giving this man 31 fantasy points this week. Next up was Jets defense and special teams, earning 23 fantasy points from holding Cleveland to only 10 points.
I was trying to make you a great warrior. You succeeded.
Alright, our next matchup is Peekapoo versus Jiggly Slut, the battle of the Pokemon. So, final score is 143 to 201, giving Jiggly Slut a 58-point margin. Jiggly Slut's top 3 players this week was Rob Gronkowski for 32 fantasy points from 5 receptions, 94 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Second, Jarvis Landry, who had 22 fantasy points this week, thanks to 8 receptions and 53 yards. Sorry, but no touchdowns for this man. Next up is Jordan Matthews. He earned himself 10 receptions, 102 yards, but no touchdowns. But in the end, he came home with 22 fantasy points for Jiggly Slut, giving him the win. Next matchup, Donkey Kong D's Nuts versus Las Vegas Red Zone Weapon. Final score 169 to 150, giving Donkey Kong D's Nuts the win by 19. Donkey Kong D's Nuts top 3 players, Jason Witten with 8 receptions, 60 yards, and 2 touchdowns, giving himself 27 fantasy points. Next up, Carolina Panthers. For 24 fantasy points, they achieved this goal by keeping their opponent to only 9 points, getting 2 picks, and getting themselves 1 touchdown. Next up, we have a tie between Aqib Talib and Matt Bryant, both giving themselves 17 fantasy points, each in their own respect. Talib earned it by 1 pick and 1 touchdown, and Matt Bryant earned it from 4 field goals, all good. Our final matchup, Conkers Loves Titties versus Lincoln to win it. Final score 140 to 99, giving Conkers the win by 41 points. Conkers' top 3 players this week were Seattle Seahawks defense and special teams, thanks to them having 3 fumble recoveries and also getting themselves 2 touchdowns. earning them 22 fantasy points this week. Next, we have Mark Ingram, who carried the ball for 9 times for 24 yards, but no touchdowns, still giving himself 19 fantasy points this week. Last and certainly not least, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck threw for 2 touchdowns, 243 yards, giving himself 18 fantasy points this week.